guys, this is Crystal, and I thought I would record for you a tutorial on how I use Evernote in my business. Now, Evernote it's essentially like a virtual bookshelf that you can then populate with notebooks of any kind. So I don't know how many of you are journalers, but I have been a journaler since I was 13, and much of my bookshelf space has been taken up over the years with my journals. Evernote is a lot like that. When you first upload Evernote, it's this, if you look down on the bottom here, it's this green elephant little icon. What you're going to do to get it onto your computer is you're going to go to your app store. So obviously if you have a Mac, that's the little blue icon here. You go to your app store, you'll search up here in the apps for Evernote, like so. And it will pop up. I can't remember if it costs anything. If it does, it's worth every penny. It also might be free. There is an upgraded version of Evernote that I do pay for that I think is $10 or $15 a month. I can't actually remember the other things that it gives me now as a paid thing, but it was worth it to me at the time. However, using it free, you get all of its utility times a godzillion. So you'll notice that in my Evernote, when you first download Evernote, this screen over here scrolls up and down. When you first download Evernote, this is all blank. See where it says shortcuts up here? I've actually created this in a way that works for me. So all of this will be blank for you. And what you'll have is notes, notebooks, tags, atlas, market, and announcements. So where you want to start creating your system is in this notebooks section. And when you go to the notebooks, this is what's going to pop up, this screen that you're looking at right now. Now, with every single thing in Evernote, and keep in mind that there are Evernote videos all over YouTube on how to do this. And what you're receiving from me is how I use Evernote in my business. So everything that learning Evernote brings up for you, and everywhere where you're going into, I can't do it and it's too complicated, can we just join and create that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay, so with every screen in Evernote, you can have it display in a way that works for you. So you'll notice, just keep an eye on where my mouse's pointer is going. It's up in the right corner right now. You can toggle your view. You can actually create your view in a way that works for you. So I have some stacks of notebooks, and then I have other just single notebooks, and in this view, this is how they show up. That's nice, but I actually prefer the list view, which works better for me. So up here, you'll see that you can create a new notebook, and as soon as you click that, it pops open another one of those little rectangles, and you can call it test notebook or whatever you want to call it. And it will then alphabetize itself. So test notebook popped all the way over here to where the T's are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this so that you can see where that takes you. So test notebook is a new notebook. It has no notes in it. It doesn't have anything going on. It just has options for what you can, a blank space where you can create something. So if we go up here to new note in test notebook, and we go, let's just say 8-week program, 8-week, let's just call it 8-week business creation intensive notes. Okay? When you start to get into this note space, you can then populate it with whatever you want. So you can put clearings in here. What ESC can I be to be totally out of control with total ease? Or you can go up here to your little options up here. You can format all of your text. You can create lists in here. You can actually create to-do lists in here. Create energetic list. Post on access site, bars class, post in group about creating blog. Okay, so you could create a to-do list in here. You can also create a line, which is great. Like if you want to format this note in a way that inspires you, you can change your alignment. You can create a table. So if you want to create a table to track something. You can insert a 5x5 table if you'd like to do that. You can also record something in here. So as soon as you click on that, you can click on record and you can put a voice memo in here. You can take a snapshot of me. And that will, it's just pausing, but you can use that and you can put that in here. You can also add files with this little paper clip. So if you have a document somewhere on your computer that it would be helpful to just have in one place, you can add that here. This space is one of the most useful tools that I have for keeping things together. And so this is just one example of how you can create a note, okay? You can also create separate notes. So if that's, you know, this might be just general notes. This might be clearings from, you know, the 8-week business. You could change the name of this notebook and go up here to, you could go back to notebooks. Okay, before we do that, you can also change your view of a notebook. So right now we're in test notebook. You can change it to card view, which then puts the notes like this. You can change it to expanded card view, which I don't like at all. You can change it to snippet view, which is my favorite. You can change it to side list view, which really just lists them out like this. Top list view, so more like an email thing. So you get to change, you get to play with this and create this in a way that works for you. The operative phrase in this whole video being, create this in a way that works for you. And when you first start playing with Evernote, you're going to create it one way because you have no idea what works for you. And you're going to end up reorganizing it. And so everywhere where you're going to try to get this perfect the first time, can we please destroy and uncreate all of that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So there's different ways of organizing Evernote. I really like using shortcuts and stacks, and I'm going to show you how I do that. The other way that you can organize Evernote is by using tags. Every single notebook and note in a notebook can receive a tag. So you'll notice that up here you've got this option of click to add tags. I've played with that and I just don't find it very useful for me. Other people really like using tags to organize things because you can go up here into your search and you can search by anything. You can search by words in the note, you can search by tags, you can search by notebook name, you can search everything. So there's been times when I'm in a rush and I don't sort out in my head where I want to put a note, and I'll just open up a new note in whatever notebook I'm in and start writing. And then I need to go back and search where I put it because I don't remember. After you've put it somewhere and you find it using the search function, you can then reorganize it. So if you go up here to, you can see when I clicked on this little icon up here, if I move this note, I can move it to a different notebook, and I just put into test notebook, and I can go down here to move, and it will move this note to another notebook. So that's another great versatility of Evernote, is you can also be totally wildly out of control, and still, when you have a second to get your brain back, you can go back and reorganize yourself very easily. So to go back down here to notebooks, basically with when you create a new notebook, it creates itself on its own. So you'll notice here, like checklists, that's its own notebook. It's not in a stack. It's not isn't attached to anything else. It's just its own notebook. But if I wanted to add checklists to, say, Crystal Creation Stack, I would simply click on it and drag it right here. And it would add itself to Crystal Creation Stack, which would then also change my shortcuts over here. You'll notice that checklist is now in my shortcuts because Crystal Creations is in my shortcuts. I'm going to take that back out of there because I really don't want that there. I'd like it to be separate. But that's a possibility. So when you're creating, I like stacks, mostly because when I used to file all my stuff, and this is your virtual filing system, and I'll show you some different ways you can use it. My mind works really well in categories. So for the different teams I was a part of, for a while I was a part of Heather Nichols' business. I have a Team Nichols stack. For a while, I was a part of Carlina's business, so I had a Team Carlina stack. I have my personal stack, which is just random stuff, which probably needs to be reorganized at this point, and it's all there. I was writing for Dane for a while. That's got a stack. Crystal Creations has a stack. This is where, and this is a little bit arbitrary, so again, I'm going to end up recreating it at some point, but in Crystal Creations, I've got certain programs require their own notebook, because there's more than one note, attached to that creation. So like, for example, my 21-day program, let's see if I can open this. It had 21 days of emails, and I was attempting to be organized and keep all the copy in here. I clearly didn't do that. And it's in my MailChimp, so I'm aware that I can always go get that. I also wasn't sure if I was doing overkill with this, so about 14 days into it, I'm like, okay, I'm bored with being so detailed. But this is a possibility. Like, it keeps track of all the copy for that creation. And a lot of times I find when I'm creating things and I create copy for it, that I may never go back and reference the copy. I may never use it again. And sometimes when I'm scrolling back through just looking for inspiration, what I wrote then ends up being the inspiration for something I can create now. So there's a lot of value for me in keeping old copy. I do end up flipping through it, and there are things that pop. And you never know when something you created back then is actually going to be that thing that could spark a book or a blog or an article. So what can you create with Evernote that would allow you to just seamlessly keep ideas as they pop and copy and creations as they pass, so that you can access it and actually let it contribute to what you're creating now. It's also really cool for me to look back on what I did create. It contributes a lot of energy of like, holy crap, that was really good. So that's another thing. Gary talks about writing 6 books at the same time. So I created a book stack with the different books as they're popping that I would like to write. Now this is a new creation, this is a new stack, so there isn't a lot of writing in there. However, I also have a blog notebook which has tons of posts in it that probably need to be reconfigured and reorganized. I have a book notebook that, again, has lots of stuff in it that really needs to be reconfigured. I have a free writing notebook because there's times when I want to just sit down and write that I don't have a place for it, it doesn't have a home, and yet it needs to come out. So I keep all of that, and it's all just here for me at any time when I want to tap back into it. I also have the possibilities notebook that I was talking to. And this is where this is where I put all of my ideas. If I'm on the computer and I'm just like, oh, I just got another idea, I will open another note in possibilities and I'll just start writing. And some of them have a lot, and some of them, like this one, Writing Irresistible Hot Copy, never went any further than that. However, I have the title and I still really like it. Beyond the Hokey Pokey never went anywhere. I'm Having It got quite a bit of words, so I'm wondering where that wants to go. Unstuck Laser Sessions had a Facebook event. So it's like I don't put a demand on myself that any of these notes have to have certain elements. It's just if it pops, I give it a space, and that's it. And sometimes I can go back and delete them, and other times they actually contribute to creating something else. And even me going through all of this, I'm shocked at how much I have actually written. So apparently it's time for some books to be born. So I have a lot of notebooks, and I don't have every one of my notebooks in the shortcuts. In addition to that, I also have some notes that are in notebooks as a shortcut. So for example, I keep right now all of my logins and links in a note in Evernote. So right here. And it's not as secure. I don't recommend this potentially. It's not as secure, and when I start to work with a team, I will have to create another solution. However, for me right now, it really works for me. And so as soon as I open a new account, as soon as I open a new email account, or I open a Shopify, or I get onto Weebly, I immediately put that login email and password into my logins and links note. immediately. I don't wait. I do it right then, because what I've learned as I'm creating my business is that creating this business has required me to open a lot of online accounts, and right now I'm using the same password for everything. And now that I'm putting this video out into the world, I will likely change it. However, it's too hard to remember everything. So this has been a huge gift to me. For a while I was in someone else's business, so I have their logins and links as well. So this has been something that I can flip to very easily. And as I create new creations that have a lot more energy, that are their own company, I then add them as their own stack. And to show you how to do stacks, I think I did that. So as soon as you are aware that you've got several notebooks that are kind of in one category, that's really when you want to start to create a stack. That's when I do it anyway. And you can play with renaming it and what it wants to be called. And then all you have to do to create it as a shortcut is simply drag it. Is that correct? Or no, I'm sorry. You're going to right click on the stack itself, and this menu will pop up, and you can put, instead of remove stack, because this is already in the shortcuts, this will say add stack to shortcuts, and you simply click that and it will add it to the shortcuts. So that's a really brief overview of how I use Evernote. I have an access stack, so I've accessed general information. I've got clearings. I have a few from the ESB San Francisco wow moments. The other thing that you can do is you can share notebooks with other Evernote users. I believe that's an advanced function, and I can probably do a video on that at other times, but there's a feature in Evernote Premium, which is what I use, which is called Work Chat. And as soon as you do that, you can open a new chat, and you can actually share notebooks between Evernote users, so that you guys, and you'll notice over here in my Team Nickel stack that it's these multiple people icon. That's an indicator that it's shared by multiple people, and so everybody on their own computer can access this notebook, which is really cool and really handy for working with a team. So I think that's it for now for my basic Evernote information session. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.